If you're still using a debit card, you are missing out on so many benefits. I have stopped spending on my debit card and instead spend everything on my credit card to gain air miles, to gain consumer protection, and to build my credit score. In this video, I'll share 3 reasons why I think you should consider spending on your credit card too. So I was a really keen bean when I was a kid, and from about 12 years old, I got my very first debit card from Lloyds Bank, and it was an under-19s cash account, and there were some limitations on it, but it was exciting. I was 12, I had this plastic card that I'd never really had before, and none of my friends had a card either, and it was the first experience and taste that I got of having my pocket money paid in monthly rather than weekly, and instead managing a monthly balance on a card, being able to spend money online, spending it in the shops. It was real freedom. But then as I was becoming older and Instagram became a thing, there was a big trend on Instagram to see all of these people having really cheap flights all over the world using air miles or upgrading to business or first class, and I didn't really understand how they were doing it. And it was only until I discovered the world of using credit cards beyond just spending them to borrow money, and instead using them to get cashback, get points, and converting that into flights to either completely pay off a trip to New York or wherever it is, or upgrade to business class, my mind was totally blown. But the reality is there were 3 main things that were holding me back, purely because I just didn't understand how credit cards should be used properly. I was mainly worried about paying interest, whether there's any costly fees, but most importantly, would it damage my credit score by using a credit card every single month? So obstacle 1, do you have to pay any fees to use the credit card? Well, yes and no. Most of the cards, especially the ones that I use, are completely free, so you pay no annual fee whatsoever. You can, if you really want to, get a fee card, but if you're just wanting to collect points or cashback, the free versions are absolutely fine. Likewise, if you're going to get a BA Avios card as well, they have a free tier and then a premium paid tier. The free one still helps you collect points every single month. The second obstacle, do you have to pay interest on the card? No. The reason why credit cards are so good is that you only pay interest if you roll a balance over into the second month. And Amex cards are not meant to be used as purchase cards. So there are loads of different types. You've got purchase cards, which usually have an initial introductory period of 0% interest. So you could buy a car or have some renovations in your house, something that you can put on card and you can leave the balance sitting there for a good few months. That way you pay no interest, but once that rate is up, you start paying a monthly amount every single month. But with Amex, the idea is that you pay it off in full every single month. So even though the interest rates are really high at 40 to 50%, you're not actually paying any interest on your balance because you're paying off at the point that it's required to be paid. So that way, for every £1 that I'm spending on my credit card, I'm getting 1 point in the Amex system, which can be converted to Emirates Air Miles, to British Airways Avios, as well as loads more. And that is one of the big things holding people back. They just think it's expensive and you have to pay all the excess on it, but it is completely free to use. You get the free points, you pay no interest. It's just like spending on your debit card. And lastly, obstacle 3, can it hurt your credit score? The answer is no. It actually does the complete opposite. It really helps your credit score. If you can show that you have an Amex card or a different type of credit card, you're spending on it every month and paying it off in full, you're not really using the borrowing part of the card to warrant using interest. And even if you did that, as long as you pay back your monthly repayments every single month with the minimum repayment that's due, it's not going to hurt your credit score. It's going to show lenders and the credit agencies that you can be trusted with credit. So I've been using my Amex card as well as other different credit cards for many years. And that's why I've got a 999 score on Experian, because I can show lenders that I'm trustworthy with credit, I don't go crazy with it, and they know that they always will be paid back. And the best way to use a credit card is just use it like normal. If you have to get the train in the morning to commute to work, if you're getting buses, if you're filling up with petrol in the forecourts, if you're getting your weekly shopping in, all of the big name brands and companies in the UK accept American Express. It's not accepted everywhere, so at times you do have to flick back to using a debit card, or at least a MasterCard credit card that can be supported. But for the majority, you can spend, I'd say, about 80 to 90% of your general expenses every single month on your credit card. If you go out for a meal or a date night, you can also pay for that on credit card as well. And all of that time, you're racking up points, and then all you do is pay off the credit card in full every single month. So rather than having your salary come into your bank account, you slowly spend that over the month. Instead, that stays where it is. You gain a little bit more interest in your bank account, spend on your credit card, and then you get one big payment at the end of the month. So long as you make sure you're not spending more on your credit card than what you have in your bank account, and you use it normally like you would do within your budget, then you've got nothing to worry about whatsoever. The other best bit and the main benefit for me is that you have loads of protection. If you buy anything on a credit card over £100, but generally anything you purchase on a credit card has way more protection than what it is using a debit card. And the reason behind this is because when you use a credit card, you're using the bank's money, and therefore it's in their interest and their responsibility to get it back if there's a problem or a dispute or any issues. For example, I bought loads of Ryanair flights just before the pandemic, and they were really not wanting to give back refunds. They were trying to give cash vouchers. I went straight to American Express and they refunded it instantly without question, and that's the level of protection you have. Whereas if that was on debit card, I'd have a really hard time. I'd have to try and charge it back. I'd have to try and dispute it. And the big difference is that a Section 75 refund is very different and fundamentally different to a debit card chargeback or dispute, where you then have to go back and forth with the merchant and there's no guarantee you'll get your money back. So from a protection perspective, it's way better. Anything that's high risk that could be cancelled, like booking a holiday, paying a deposit for a car, whatever it is, use a credit card wherever you can, because you will have way more protection if something goes wrong. So I've been using my Amex card for several years now and must have spent around 80 to 90,000 pounds on the card over numerous years, which has helped me accumulate about 90,000 points, which can be fully converted one-to-one into air miles with loads of different airlines, which I'm thoroughly looking forward to using and upgrading some flights to business class in the future. Previously, I've used points to rent a Mustang and drive through California and have an awesome trip, so it really can reward you by just spending on a credit card. There are really so many benefits that you should consider. Or for example, if you're getting a 600-mile flight with British Airways, you can use around 4,000 Avios points and you will only pay £17.50 in taxes and fees. That means you can fly all over Europe for about £17. For example, you can fly to locations such as Amsterdam, Bordeaux, Copenhagen, Munich, Innsbruck, Nice and Zurich, which is really cool to go and do that for really minimal amounts of points. So that means I could book around 24 flights or 12 return flights all over Europe with the current points that I've accumulated, which is really cool. And there you have it. You can collect points, you have tons of consumer protection, and it's great for your credit score if you use it properly. Just make sure you're paying off the card in full every single month, and that is the correct way to use a points-based credit card. If you found this video useful, then you'll definitely enjoy checking out the Beginner's Guide to Investing here, which teaches you all about stocks and shares ISA and investing in the stock market to get more back on your money rather than putting it in a really small savings account in a bank. So check out this video, find out how to get started in investing, and I will see you in the next video.